Let's talk about the whole ebooks question, yeah. And Mark's got a good question too. How are you going to lend?
How do you lend them?
Well, that's an interesting question because the model is shifting from ownership to licensing. So that's one major hurdle that librarians have to surmount.
We should actually maybe just even clarify that a little bit more, so in case people don't know. And I think some people probably followed this, but for example, the Kindle discovered, was it last year or maybe a year and a half ago, that they had in error somehow or other been selling, quote unquote selling, certain editions of George Orwell, including 1984. And their solution to this was just to sort of take it out of people's Kindles. Really
deliciously ironic, isn't it?
It was 1984 they did it. They went right into the Kindles and took them right back out, because it turns out those people had not bought an e-copy of 1984. They had basically licensed it, and Amazon felt quite comfortable just taking it back. All right, continue.
Right, but there are a couple of companies now, Overdrive, I don't know, some of you might be familiar with Overdrive for downloadable audiobooks, which are available for many public libraries here in the state. But they're also experimenting with offering ebooks that would be downloadable to your computer or your well, not the Kindle because they have a proprietary format, but your Nook, say. So they're just starting to, and I think again, libraries are very responsive to the needs of our patrons, and if our patrons are asking for this, we should really try to make it happen. But I think that the American Library Association, other library professional organizations maybe need to push the issue a little harder about getting the publishers, with whom we've always had a very collaborative relationship. There are a lot of affinities, of course, between the publishing industry and libraries. So I think that that's one big change we'll see in the future as the technology becomes more available and less expensive.
So, by the way, we do want to open things up to the audience. Charles is back there with a microphone. If people have questions or comments about the present or future of libraries. One memory that I have, or one sort of experience that I've had, is occasionally going to the Wellfleet Library on Cape Cod, which is, like most libraries, including this one, a hotspot. They have Wi-Fi there. And there are a lot of people up there on Cape Cod who don't have any particular internet service in the little cottage that they're renting or the B&B that they're at. And so you see these people massive, like crows on a wire, like birds on a telegraph line, waiting for the library to open so that they can all go in there. And they're trying to make it start outside to see if somehow they're hit it, before the library even opens. And on one occasion I've been in there, and they, as the doors opened and everybody kind of swarmed in and either fired up their own laptops or went to the existing desktop computers, the Wi-Fi didn't start up right away. And there's this sigh of despair.
Colin, were they forced to read books?
That's what happened. People were sort of looking around going, well, now what do we do? And it is, they had so completely looked past the book lending or the book oriented function of this library. Now it is Wellfleet, and people already brought up the book they wanted probably or something like that. But in some ways, for all of the things that you do, and we haven't even talked about DVDs, which are a big part of your collection right now, too, excuse me, there must be some part of you that sort of says, as librarians, well, yeah, but we're not getting out of the book business, right? The physical book business.
Absolutely.
Mary Beth is shaking her head.
Yeah, absolutely not. We try and, as a profession, we try and see what the latest technology is coming down, and to sort of dabble in it when we can. But here in Clinton, our bestsellers are still The Help and The Lost Symbol and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. People are taking them out like crazy. We also have a
video collection, VHS collection, and I'm always surprised when folks come up to the desk with 6 VHS. Just when you think, we're going to go to downloadable audio or video now, we're going to get rid of everything. There are folks who still are hanging on to VHS. The same with our books on our audio book collection. We have a lot of books on CD, and we still have a handful of books on cassette.
How's your Betamax collection?
Yeah, see, we do have a
8-track?
small
Can I
Blu-ray.
get an 8-track here at the Henry Carter Hall?
No 8-tracks, but I'm always surprised that there are folks who come from surrounding towns for a book on cassette because their car still has a cassette player, and we have a great collection. And so it's hard
to know when to let go, of older technology and put everything into the future. But we've got a little bit of everything here. And
And as I was driving down here today, on Point on WNPR with Tom Ashbrook, was doing this whole show about sort of opting out of cable and using more internet-based ways of delivering television to yourself. And then you get down here, and there are a lot of things that this library can do, including you can check out DVDs, you can, and I guess one of the things I'm sort of wondering, maybe you guys can make the case to me. I'm sure there are people out there who are thinking, well, why should that be part of any municipal budget or part of any set of understood state-funded services? Why should there be live homework help for kids who can't do their homework? Why should I be able to rent a DVD from? Why should I be able to do any of this stuff? I mean, when you probably don't think in terms of having to make the basic case for libraries, or maybe you do, because as all kinds of budgets are being zeroed out and crashed down upon, there are people, angry taxpayers, saying, well, why should any of this? Why should I pay for any of this stuff? I don't use a library anyway.
Peter Schiff doesn't want roads.
Well, that's right.
He doesn't want you to be able to get to the library.
Yeah.
So
They probably have his book here.
my views do not represent those of Connecticut Public Radio.
So I don't know. Somebody take that. Well, what do you say when that comes up, or does it never come
Well,
up?
I don't know. I mean, I think that these are the same people who say that NPR shouldn't receive any federal funding. I think libraries, of course, are vital to an informed citizenry in much the same way that the reasoning behind support for NPR. And I think that a lot of people tend to get hung up on libraries and books, or libraries just being about books. And I think if we take maybe a step back and say, well, it's about literacy, it's about self-culture, and especially now, I think, given the it's a chance for people to help them reinvent themselves in a tough economy. And we are a vital part of the social safety net. So I guess that's how I would answer that.
It's funny. I mean, libraries shouldn't be politicized, but it's interesting. I mean, social safety net language sounds so lefty. I mean, there's the conservative language of it's the ultimate in self-help. I mean, if you want to, it's the ultimate in up by the bootstraps. I mean,
Right.
We're going on several hundred years now in America of people, since Philadelphia with the first free public library, right? That people wanting to better themselves and wanting to learn more and going to... It was a subscription library? I'm being corrected by the fine people of Clinton. It was a subscription library. But going there to better themselves by getting books for free or cheaply, I presume. So,
I think libraries really cross political lines. And I worked on the referendum in Bridgeport, where voters, both Republican and Democrat, as well as independent voters, voted overwhelmingly to allocate $1 million of their taxes to go directly to libraries. And that was the one issue in a very, very politicized community that really crossed political lines. And I think libraries are true equalizers. It's one of the only places to provide access to information that anybody can have. If you don't have the resources to have a computer or to have books, you can come to the library and you can find that information. You can imagine yourselves in another community, in another community that you've never experienced simply through reading a book. And if you find yourself out of a job, suddenly, you may no longer have the money to spend on internet, and you may not realize what kind of a safety net that a library can provide until you are in need of those resources.
And Peter Schiff believes the entire economy is going to come crashing down pretty soon, so we're going to need libraries more than ever, really. I just also want to point out, it was not because of that $1 million allocation that Bridgeport ran out of ballots and couldn't afford it. Please don't blame the library referendum for that. We do have to take a little break here. We're live in Clinton at their beautiful library. We will be back after the proverbial this.
Yay.